Before I start, I want to introduce 3 new words to you guys about what we're going to be reading. So one word is narrator. Another word is narrative. Another word is perspective. Okay, now what do you guys think a narrator is? Anna.
Someone who tells like the story and like when the people aren't talking, he just explains what's going on, or she
Explains what's going on. Does he or she explain it in general, like as a third party, or do they have an opinion?
they're
Close. Someone else. I heal. Go ahead.
well, they're not in the story or like whatever they're in. They're like off camera kind of, and they're just giving the gist about what's gonna happen next or something.
That's close. Not quite though. Hold on. Amira.
Third person view, and they tell the story and they give like the background of the story and
What's going on?
They do give a background of the story, but actually a narrator gives it through their own opinion. Like, let me think of like someone who tells a story like, let me think of a story. Do you guys know the Grinch story? How does the Grinch explain Christmas to you guys?
it's horrible.
And is he the storyteller? That's exactly what a narrator is. The narrator explains the story through their own way of saying, this is what happened, this is how it affected me, and this is my version of my story. So you know like how sometimes people say there's 3 versions of the story? One side, the second side, and the truth? This is pretty much saying this is one personal experience to what happened. So that's what a narrator is. So the narrator is a storyteller. What is a narrative? Any idea?
Like first person perspective.
Yes, but what, if the narrator is telling the story, what do you think the narrative is? Go ahead,
Like
Amira.
the character in the story.
Not quite close. Go ahead.
The character, like not the main character, but a character. Well, actually, it kind of is the main character telling his or her story.
That's what a narrator is. You're really close. A narrative is the story. So the narrator tells the story, the narrative is their version. So it's pretty much what they wrote or what they said. And the whole story encompasses. You know, like remember when I checked your work for the Halloween story you did? That was a narrative. It's a fictional narrative about a girl who met a scary cat, right? So that's a narrative. You were telling a story as actually the girl. So she was a narrator, and then the story was the narrative. Get it?
Oh yeah.
So narrative is the story itself. Okay? Okay, what is perspective, or in other words, point of view? Go ahead, Ayo.
Like when you're viewing something or like seeing through someone else's eyes,
But whose eyes in general?
the character's eyes.
Yes, very good. And yes, very good actually. Character's eye. Character's viewpoint. Are there biases to a point of view? To how a person tells a story?
I don't know what advice is.
Oh, sorry. A bias is pretty much, does the person give their own opinion to what the story is all about?
No.
Do they include opinions?
No.
Some
Yes, they do. They do, very good. A perspective is
Isn't it the same thing as like a narrator?
all connected, yes. Very good. Perspective is just another broader term because there isn't always a narrator. That's only in like a book or a story. But a perspective is pretty much like how people have different perspectives on politics, like presidential debates and stuff. What else do people have different perspectives on? Religion is another perspective of how you view the world. There's also perspectives about how people should teach students. Literally, there's debates on whether it's, you guys don't know this, but different schools, private school, public school, which one is the best fit for a child? Where do they get the most, what will they get the most out of it? And what ways will it benefit? And what ways is it not beneficial? Get it? So perspective is character's point of view. It is opinionated. So a person isn't always giving factual information. They're giving their experience through their eyes, their opinions of what happened. So the point is that everyone has a different perspective. Like the story we're going to be reading, it's about the Native Americans' experience. Native Americans' experience about Columbus's travels to their land. Okay, so remember this in hand. Narrator is a storyteller. Narrative is the story itself. And perspective is, what is perspective again?
It's like the person's point of view.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Okay, so now the book we're going to be reading is called Encounter by Jane Yolen. It's about a story through a Native American's perspective of Columbus. What do you guys see in the picture itself? Go ahead, Amira.
In the background, I see like, it looks like a dust or like an explosion because I see the back smoking all the way in the back.
Yeah, very
And
good.
then I think the child is a Native American.
Very good.
And I see Christopher Columbus in the picture.
That's really good. Yes. Were you going to add something? Okay. Alright, it says, the moon was well overhead and our great fires had burned low. A loud clap of thunder woke me from my dream. All dreams are not true dreams, my mother says. But in my dream, that night, 3 great winged birds with voices like thunder rode wild waves in our bay. They were not like any birds that I had ever seen, for sharp white teeth filled their mouths. Pretty, right?
In the picture, it looks like a boat right there because there's like a spine.
Oh, that's really interesting. And then where are they? They're in the, yeah. See,
Then a large body of water.
And the body of the bird looks like it's just like sailing across, and the head looks like a symbol or something.
yeah. Like, this is kind of interesting. I don't know what this is, but
It's like a ribbon or something.
yeah, a ribbon on them.
And their eyes.
All of them have it.
The white looks like sails on the boat.
Oh,
yeah. But
Interesting, yeah. Alright, it says, I left my hammock and walked to the beach. There was my dream birds again, only now they were real. 3 great sailed canoes floating in the bay. I stared at them through the night. When the sun rose, each great canoe gave birth to many little ones that swam awkwardly to our shore. I ran and then found our chief, still sleeping in his hammock. Do not welcome them, I begged him. My dream is a warning. But it is our custom to welcome strangers and to give them tobacco leaves and feast them with pepper pods and to trade gifts. You are but a child, my chief said to me. All children have bad dreams. Pretty right? What do you guys see?
so the ribbon is like the flag, supposedly. The ribbon, the flag.
It's really interesting, yeah. Really good point. Very good, Anna. Okay. It says, the bay canoes spat out my strange. We spat out. The baby canoes spat out many strange creatures, men but not men. We did not know them as human beings, for they hid their bodies in colors like a parrot. Their feet were hidden also, and many of them had hair growing like bushes on their chin. 3 of them knelt before their chief and pushed sticks into the sand. Then I was even more afraid. Very pretty, right?
The details in the book, that really told me who the people were.
I know, very good. What can you see here? What do you guys see? What do you? Oh, okay, go ahead. I hope.
They're like marking their territory.
Very good. I was gonna ask you that as one of the last questions. Very good. And why do you think they're marking their territory? What do they plan to do? Possibly. Go ahead, Amira.
Maybe take the gold goods and, find a new place for their people to live, maybe.
Very good. Anna?
Like the Native Americans are hiding and spying on them to see what they'll do to make sure it's safe to go out and stuff.
Very good. So they're looking for if they introduce themselves. And so what do you guys think they mean by they were here, this part it says, we did not know them as human beings, for they hid their bodies in colors, like parrots. What does that mean? Go ahead, Amira.
Like they had paints on their face, like natural colored paints on their face.
Close, what do you think?
They're wearing clothing.
Yes, they're wearing clothing. And what do you see with the Native
Oh, I
Americans?
thought you were talking about the Native Americans.
Oh,
For the paints.
that makes sense. What do you see the difference between them and the explorers? Anna.
Like they have like long hair and theirs are short and they don't have clothes and they're like different
Yes.
color skin.
So they have a different culture of what they wear as opposed to the Spanish explorers. And then it also says their feet were hidden also. What does that mean? Go ahead, Ayu.
They're wearing shoes.
Yes, they're wearing shoes, which also means that if they're wearing shoes, what does that mean on Native Americans? Do they wear shoes? Go ahead.
No.
No, yeah. Interesting, right? I mean, it's nothing to judge, but it's interesting to see the variations of culture, how they vary. Okay, it says, our young men left the shelter of the trees. I, who was not yet a man, followed crying. Do not welcome them. Do not call them friends. No one listened to me, for I was but a child. Our chief said, we must see if they are true men. So I took one by the hand and pinched it. The hand felt like flesh and blood, but the skin was moon to my son. The stranger made a funny voice with his mouth, not like talking, but like barking as of a yellow dog. So, what do you guys see? Go ahead, Anna.
The boy he pinched and when he said they're barking, it was like he was screaming.
Maybe, yes. Well, what can you tell from the illustration? Go ahead, Amira.
The kid was wondering about, since they had different skin tones, he was like, oh, what is this? Because he doesn't know.
He wasn't sure if they were human or not. Yes, very good. Were you gonna add something right here? Okay.
Alright guys, যাও নামাজে যাও, মাগরিবের কিন্তু টাইম নাই।
5 more minutes?
No 5 more minutes. আগে নামাজ।
Almost done. Okay. 5 more minutes. Okay. Our chief said to us, see how pale they are? No one can be that color who comes from the earth. Surely they come from the sky. Then he leaps before them and put his hands up, pointing to the sky to show he understood how far they had flown. Perhaps they have tails, and said my older brother. Perhaps they have no feet. Our young men smiled.